project was to check whether MOOCs the MOOCs that are available already offer a solution for the demand in training these web entrepreneurs, right? So we started, one of the objectives was to make a precise mapping of the existing MOOCs for web skills available in Europe, and also to suggest, with all the activities in the project, to suggest the way to move forward on this type of MOOCs and create or facilitate that they become more, the offering becomes what the demand side requires. So when we started, we had to also define what we mean by web skills, because web skills can comprise a lot of things. So we divided them into three categories. The first ones, the core web skills, we call them, have to do with authoring tools like HTML, CSS, HTML, web programming in general, and website design. Then we grouped other skills under what we call extended web skills, and these include graphic design, animation, software engineering, and the last, we also thought that there were other skills that web entrepreneurs would need also to get trained in, that were having to do with e-learning or gamification or digital art. So when we mean, when we say web skills, we mean all of the above. So the first activity we did was this scooping study and trying to find out how many offerings there was. Here I'm listing the numbers for April and numbers for November. So initially we saw that there were like around 56, 59 MOOCs, 56 in March, 59 already in April, distributed among 7 countries, and there were MOOCs tackling web skills. And this offering also, in the initial study, we compared it with what was available, for instance, in the US, where the MOOC market is bigger, let's say, and we saw that it was about double the amount. So if in Europe we had around 60, in the US there was 120, roughly. But we've seen that along the months, we've seen an increase in number of MOOCs available, and we have now over 100 MOOCs for web skills. Yes.
Can I ask a question now?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
So are these new MOOCs that came about during these months, or just you happen to discover them during?
No, they are new MOOCs.
Okay,
yes.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. So another of the activities after we saw this, what was available in Europe, we conducted a survey, and we wanted to find out, on the one hand, what students needed. So students who were looking to get trained in web skills, what kind of skills they needed, and whether or not the MOOC offering was enough for them to get trained. Also, we were asking recruiters or people on the recruiting side what kind of skills their workforce was missing or what they were lacking. And also we asked MOOC providers what kind of concerns they had or what kind of experiences and where the concerns were regarding the creation of new MOOCs. And we had so close to 3,000 responses from all over the world, although most of them came from Europe. The survey was offered in Spanish, French, German, and English. And so we got a lot of responses from Germany, from France, Spain, and Italy, and the rest of Europe also was quite well represented. And what we found out is like what most MOOCs, whatever everyone finds out in MOOCs, like most of the students are between more or less 23 and 42 years of age. they already hold a graduate degree or a postgraduate degree, and they are male mostly, like roughly 60% of them. What was surprising is among also developers and entrepreneurs, about 60% of them also they had already taken MOOC. So this, I mean, developers make sense, and especially in line of what Christian was saying, that most of web developers are self-taught, and he mentioned like around 80% claim that. So I think this confirmed the same thing. So what was the recruiter's perspective? What are the skills in demand? What they told us is that mostly there's a demand for web design, for HTML5 because it's new, Android and JavaScript and CSS. So these were the top skills in demand. And we also asked them whether they would give any value to a skill acquired through a non-formal mean, and they said overwhelmingly yes. So, or either a lot or some value to that type of training. It can be MOOCs, or it can be other informal learning practices. Then we saw what the students were wanting to get trained in. It coincides web design as the first one, HTML, Android. So it's similar. What the demand and the supply side, the skills they are focusing on are similar. And then we also asked the students who had taken a MOOC previously whether or not the MOOC helped them develop the skills that they signed up for. And it was, again, overwhelmingly yes, or to some extent. And only very few said no. But we also found out that students, there are other things that they want, and that MOOCs still don't deliver just yet. And we saw that there was a need for mapping of supply and demand. In other terms, students knew that there were MOOCs, but they were not always sure where to find them or which ones to take. Also, there were concerns about the quality of MOOCs. Also, a lot of them told us that they really needed hands-on practice on the issues that they were studying, and not just delivery of knowledge, but real practice. And also, some of them also said that besides MOOCs, they were also using other online platforms to get trained on the side of MOOCs, like Code Academy, I think, came up several times. And also, one of the most important things that they asked for was that there was some sort of certification or accreditation, and that would be valued in the job market, and they would be even willing to pay some money to get that, provided that the recruiters would value this certificate somehow. And we thought that was one of the biggest issues. Also, we asked the IT professionals again whether or what kind of way, what was the best way to learn web skills, and most of them said MOOCs was one of the ways, and also it was for on-the-job training, or using MOOCs even, or using online free tools to train their employees. From the MOOC providers, we saw that mostly they were looking, they are still looking, or they were still looking back then, this was April, May, for a business model that would be sustainable. And the biggest concern, or the biggest motivation to run a MOOC was to promote the public image of the university. So also we asked them for the barriers for the MOOC provision, and obviously costs of production of MOOCs came as one of the first concerns, and also the institutional culture not being adjusted yet to accept MOOCs as one of a viable solution. So there are some conclusions we draw from the study, and as I mentioned before, there's a lot of emphasis in the practical hands-on side of developing the skills requires all that, and so this way of learning, this blended way of learning, seems to be suitable for developing these skills. The current supply does not always fit this model. It seems that there needs to be some adjustment. And again, as I said before, the students don't always know what's the best MOOC they can take, or whether that MOOC will help them develop the skills they need. There were some other emerging themes that came up once and again, and that have to do with the things that I already discussed, so I'll just skip this. And some concerns that I already mentioned, like certification. The employers sometimes look for very specific skills that not always have, they don't have a MOOC, a specific MOOC that they can acquire these skills with. So, and also institutions, as I mentioned, point to the high cost of production of MOOCs as one of the barriers. Another project activity, we conducted this webinar back in July, and some of the speakers in the webinar are here in this room. And it was regarding accreditation and recognition, and also employability. And this topic was chosen by the people who responded in the survey. So we asked the people who took the survey, what do you want to hear next in our activities? What is the thing that worries you the most? And so this topic came up, and we arranged the webinar. Sorry. We had about 150 people registered, and we have the recording here available if you want to check. Also, we presented a workshop at ECTEL this past September. It should be ECTEL 14, not 13, sorry. And it was a workshop that was dealing with whether MOOCs can solve the lack of skills by the youth. We had seven papers presented, and several others were submitted, and 25 people participated in the workshop, and these are the topics that were discussed by the different papers that were then published on the Open Education Europa website and on the group's website. We also had a platform panel where different MOOC providers, or MOOC platforms rather, came and presented their platform. It was fun. The French provider platform, Open Classrooms, which is also French, Open Course World, which is a German MOOC platform, and Open HPI, which is the Hasso-Plattner Institute one. And also we had a response to the presentations, and all these materials, you can find them online. I'll give you the address of the website in a minute. And finally, the network members increased over the course of the months also, and we have now 58 members in the network, and include 2 business schools, 6 polytechnical universities, 8 MOOC platforms, 23 MOOC providers or universities mostly, and there are 17 countries represented in the network. And here you can find the address. In this address you can see the website, and you can find all the materials that we've been using. You'll find them there. And this is the program for today. I just wanted to stress that we are, I don't know if we're running a bit late, just 5 minutes. We will have the keynote by Matt Walton from FutureLearn right now. Then we'll have a short coffee break, which is not here, but it should be in here. And then we'll have the panel.